Ho sat alone at his usual table in the station cafeteria. He liked this corner. It was quiet, away from the noise, and nobody bothered him here. He poked at his rice with his chopsticks and stared out the window at the stars. Station Harmony was busy today. Engineers ran back and forth. Traders argued about prices. Aliens of every shape and color filled the walkways. Ho had worked here for 4 years now, fixing broken machines and keeping the station running. It was simple work. He liked simple. The cafeteria door opened, and the noise dropped to silence. Ho looked up from his food. A group of tall, graceful figures walked in. Their skin was pale blue like morning sky. Their hair was silver and flowed like water. Their eyes were large and bright, glowing softly in the station light. The most elegant species in the galaxy. Ho had seen before, but never this many at once. They moved like dancers, each step perfect and smooth. Other workers stopped eating to watch them pass. Diplomats, someone whispered nearby. Important ones. Ho shrugged and went back to his rice. Politics was not his problem. He had circuits to fix after lunch. Then he felt it. Someone was watching him. He looked up again. One of them had stopped walking. She stood in the middle of the cafeteria, her silver hair falling past her shoulders, her glowing eyes fixed directly on him. She was beautiful. That was the first thing Ho noticed. The second thing he noticed was that she was smiling. Not a small, polite smile. A wide, bright smile that showed her teeth. The others stopped and turned to look at her. Vila, one of them asked, "What is wrong?" The young woman did not answer. She kept staring at Ho. Her smile grew even wider. Then she turned to her companions and said, loud enough for the whole cafeteria to hear, "That is my husband." The cafeteria went completely silent. Ho choked on his rice. He coughed and hit his chest, trying to breathe. His eyes watered. His face turned red. Around him, every single person in the cafeteria was staring. "What?" he managed to say. The woman, Vila, walked toward him. Her steps were quick and excited, nothing like the slow grace of her companions. She moved like someone who had found something precious after years of searching. She stopped at his table and looked down at him with those glowing eyes. Up close, she was even more beautiful, and she was still smiling. "I finally found you," she said. Her voice was soft and musical. "I have been looking for 3 years." Ho stared at her. His mind was empty. He had no words. "I am sorry," he finally said, "but I do not know you." "You do not remember." She tilted her head. Then she reached down and gently took his arm. She pushed up his sleeve, revealing a long scar that ran from his wrist to his elbow. "You still carry the mark," she said quietly. Her fingers traced the old wound. Ho looked at the scar. He had gotten it 3 years ago in an accident on a mining station. There had been an explosion, a collapse. He remembered pain and fire and darkness. He remembered waking up in a medical bay, but the details were blurry. "The accident," he said slowly, "on station." "Yes." Vila's eyes were bright with emotion. "You pulled me from the wreckage. You shielded me with your body. You bled for me." Ho's memory was still foggy. He remembered dragging someone. He remembered the weight of falling metal, but he did not remember her face. "I was doing my job," he said. "I pulled out everyone I could find." "You did more than that." Vila reached into her robe and pulled out a small device. She pressed a button, and a holographic image appeared above the table. Ho watched the recording in shock. It showed the mining station, broken and burning. It showed himself, younger and covered in dust and blood, dragging an unconscious girl through the flames. A beam fell from above. In the recording, Ho threw himself over the girl, taking the impact on his back. He screamed in pain but kept moving, kept pulling her toward safety. The recording ended. Ho sat in silence. He did not remember any of this. He only remembered waking up in the medical bay with 40 broken bones and a scar on his arm. "In culture," Vila said softly, When someone saves your life at the risk of their own, a sacred bond is formed. The saved has the right to claim the savior as their life partner. Life partner, Ho repeated, you mean? Husband, Vila said. She was smiling again. You are my husband. But I did not agree to this. You do not need to agree. The bond was formed when you bled for me. Ho opened his mouth to argue, but a loud laugh interrupted him. He turned to see Bei standing nearby, holding a food tray. She was his and friend, a sharp woman with short hair and a mean sense of humor. She was laughing so hard that tears ran down her face. Oh, this is wonderful, said between laughs. Ho, you quiet little man, you went and got yourself an alien wife. This is not funny, Ho said. This is the funniest thing I have ever seen. Sat down at his table without asking. She looked at Vila with great interest. So you are claiming this idiot as your husband? Yes, Vila said proudly, he is mine. I am not anyone's property, Ho protested. Vila's expression softened. She sat down across from him, her movements graceful even in the simple cafeteria chair. I did not mean it that way, she said. In culture, the claim is an honor. It means I owe you my life, my loyalty, my everything. I am not taking you. I am giving myself to you. Ho did not know what to say. This was too much. This morning he was just an engineer who fixed machines. Now he had an alien wife he did not remember saving. The other diplomats approached the table. One of them, an older male with stern eyes, looked at Ho with clear disapproval. Vila, the older said, this is improper, he is a human. He is my savior, Vila replied. Her voice was firm. The bond is sacred, father. Father, this was her father, a diplomat, judging by his fancy robes, and he was looking at Ho like he was dirt on his shoe. We will discuss this later, the father said coldly. He turned and walked away. The other diplomats followed, leaving Vila alone at the table. Vila watched them go, then turned back to Ho. Her smile returned. Do not worry about my father, she said. He will learn to accept you. Accept me? Ho shook his head. Listen, I think there has been a mistake. I am just an engineer. I am nobody special. You should find someone better. Vila leaned forward. Her glowing eyes looked directly into his. I spent 3 years searching for you, she said. I learned your language. I studied your culture. I found out everything about humans. You are not nobody, Ho. You are the man who ran into fire to save a stranger. You are exactly who I want. She stood up and straightened her robes. I will see you tomorrow, she said. We have much to discuss, my husband. She walked away, leaving Ho sitting in stunned silence. Patted his shoulder. Well, she said cheerfully, your life just got very interesting. Ho put his head in his hands. He had a feeling she was right. The news spread across Station Harmony like fire. By the next morning, everyone knew about the human engineer and the diplomat's daughter. People whispered in corridors. They pointed at Ho when he walked past. Some laughed. Some stared in confusion. Some looked at him with new respect. Did you hear? Acclaimed a human. The daughter of ambassador. What is so special about him? Ho tried to ignore it all. He went to work, fixed his machines, and kept his head down, but it was impossible to escape. At lunch, 3 different aliens approached his table to ask if the story was true. At dinner, a group of human workers bought him drinks and asked for details. A news reporter tried to interview him in the hallway. I just want to be left alone, Ho muttered to himself. But Vila had other plans. She appeared at his workshop the next day, carrying a large box wrapped in silver cloth. Good morning, husband, she said brightly. Ho nearly dropped his tools. Please do not call me that. Why not? It is what you are. She set the box on his workbench. I brought you a gift. A gift? It is tradition. During courtship, the one who claims must bring gifts to show their devotion. She pushed the box toward him. Open it. Ho looked at the box with suspicion. But Vila's eyes were so hopeful that he could not refuse. He unwrapped the silver cloth and opened the lid. Inside was a crystal. It was beautiful, glowing with soft inner light, changing colors as he watched. Blue, then purple, then silver. It was clearly expensive, probably worth more than his yearly salary. "It is a heartstone," Vila explained. "They give them to those they wish to bond with. It will glow brighter when I am near." "I cannot accept this," Ho said. "You must, it is tradition." "Your traditions are not my traditions." Vila's face fell slightly, but she recovered quickly. "Then I will learn your traditions. What do humans give during courtship?" Ho thought about it. "Flowers, I guess, chocolate, dinner." "Flowers?" Vila nodded seriously. "I will bring you flowers." "That is not necessary." But she was already gone. The next day Vila returned with flowers. Not normal flowers, flowers. They were huge silver and they sang, actual singing, a soft, high melody that never stopped. "They will sing for 100 years, Vila said proudly. "Do you like them?" Ho stared at the singing flowers. "They are very loud." "Oh," Vila's smile flickered. "I will find quieter ones." She came back the next day with different flowers. These ones did not sing. They glowed in the dark and smelled like honey. "Better?" she asked. Despite himself, Ho smiled. "Better." Vila's whole face lit up at his smile. It made Ho feel strange. Warm, he quickly looked away. The gifts kept coming. Strange foods that tasted like music somehow. A robe made from starlight fabric that was too fancy for an engineer to ever wear. A small robot that followed Ho around and recited poetry. "I think she is trying to impress you," said one afternoon. She was watching the poetry robot chase Ho around the workshop. "I noticed," Ho said, dodging the robot. "It is kind of sweet, actually, in a weird alien way." Ho did not answer. He would never admit it out loud, but he was starting to agree. Then Vila discovered coffee. "You drink this every morning," she said, watching him in the cafeteria. "It must be important." "It helps me wake up." "Then I will bring you the best coffee in the galaxy." She was serious. The next day she brought him coffee from a famous human colony. The day after she brought rare beans from a distant planet. Each day the coffee got more elaborate, more expensive, more ridiculous. "This coffee is made from beans that were eaten and processed by a special animal," Vila explained one morning. Ho stared at the cup. "Processed?" "Yes, the animal eats the beans and then—" "I understand." Ho pushed the cup away. "Maybe just normal coffee tomorrow." Vila nodded seriously and made a note on her. Watching her, Ho felt something shift in his chest. She was trying so hard. She was making mistakes, yes, but she was learning, adapting, putting in real effort. Nobody had ever tried this hard for him before. 1 week after the claim, Ambassador came to see Ho. It was late evening. Ho was alone in his workshop, finishing repairs on a broken climate unit. The door opened and the tall diplomat walked in. Looked around the workshop with obvious disgust. The messy tools, the oil stains, the piles of broken machinery. "So this is where you spend your days," said, "in dirt and grease." Ho put down his tools and stood up. "Can I help you, Ambassador?" "You can stay away from my daughter." The words were cold and sharp. "With respect, sir," Ho said carefully, "I have been trying to do exactly that. She keeps finding me." "Do not play innocent with me, human," stepped closer. "I know what you are doing. You saved a diplomat's daughter and now you think you can use her to climb higher, to gain power, wealth." Ho stared at him, then he laughed. It was the wrong response. Eyes flashed with anger. "You find this amusing." "I find it ridiculous." Ho shook his head. "Ambassador, I do not want power, I do not want wealth. I am an engineer, I fix things. That is all I want to do." "Then release my daughter from this foolish claim." "I cannot release her. The claim is hers, not mine." then convince her to release it herself. Ho was quiet for a moment. Then he said something that surprised even himself. Have you tried talking to her? Blinked what? Your daughter, have you asked her what she wants? Have you listened to her reasons? Ho picked up a cloth and wiped oil from his hands. Because I have. She spent 3 years looking for me. She learned an entire language for me. She is not doing this for politics or power. She believes in this bond, really believes in it. She is young and foolish. Maybe, but she is also your daughter, and she deserves better than you deciding her future without asking her. His face was unreadable. He stared at Ho for a long moment. You are not what I expected, he finally said. Nobody ever is. The ambassador turned to leave. At the door he paused. If you hurt her, he said quietly, there is nowhere in this galaxy you can hide from me. Then he was gone. Ho let out a breath he did not know he was holding. Outside the workshop, hidden in the shadows, Vila had heard everything. She had come to bring Ho another gift, normal coffee this time, but when she saw her father enter, she stopped. She listened. She heard Ho defend her, heard him say she deserved better. She also heard what he did not say. He did not say he wanted her. He did not say he accepted the bond. He was still trying to protect her, even from herself. Vila looked at the coffee in her hands. For the first time, she wondered if her claim was fair. She had chosen him without asking, declared him hers without his permission. She had followed her culture's rules, but she had never asked what he wanted. But there was something else, something she had not told anyone, not even her father. She did not want Ho because of the bond, not anymore. In 3 years of searching, she had learned everything about humans, their history, their courage, their strange, beautiful emotions, and she had learned about him specifically, his kindness, his quiet strength, his habit of helping others without expecting thanks. She had fallen in love with him long before she found him. The bond gave her the right to claim him, but that was not why she wanted him. She wanted him because he was good, because he was real, because looking at him made her heart feel like it was glowing. She needed to prove that. Somehow, she needed to show him that her feelings were genuine. Vila stepped out of the shadows and walked toward the workshop door. She had a new plan. Ho found Vila waiting outside his quarters the next morning. She was not smiling this time. Her expression was serious, almost nervous. I need to speak with you, she said. Ho sighed. Vila, I have work. Please, it is important. Something in her voice made him stop. He nodded and stepped aside to let her in. His quarters were small and simple, a bed, a desk, a few books, nothing fancy. Vila looked around but said nothing. She walked to the window and stared out at the stars. I heard you talking to my father, she said quietly. Ho went still. You were listening. Yes, I heard what you said, that I deserve better, that I deserve someone who chose me, not someone who feels forced. She turned to face him. You were right. Vila. Let me finish. She took a deep breath. I hereby release you from the cultural claim. You have no obligation to me. The bond is broken. Ho stared at her, just like that. Just like that, she tried to smile, but it was shaky. You are free. There was a long silence. Ho did not know what to feel. Relief? Yes, partly, but also something else. Something that felt strangely like disappointment. But Vila continued, I have a request, not a demand, a request. What is it? Give me 30 station days, 1 month. Let me court you properly as equals. No claims, no bonds, no obligations. Her glowing eyes met his. Let me prove that I want you for who you are, not because of any tradition. Ho thought about it. 30 days. It was not a lot to ask. And if I still say no after 30 days? Then I will leave. I will never bother you again. You have my word. She meant it. He could see it in her eyes. This was real. Okay, he said, 30 days. Vila's face lit up like sunrise. She started to reach for him, then stopped herself. "Thank you. You will not regret this." "We will see." The next 30 days were unlike anything Ho had experienced before. Vila threw herself into learning about humans. She watched human movies with him in the station's entertainment room. She cried at the sad endings, which surprised Ho. "Do not cry," she explained, wiping her eyes. "It is considered undignified, but human stories make me feel so much." "Is that bad?" "No," she smiled through her tears. "It is wonderful." She tried human food. Most of it was too strong for her. Spicy food made her turn purple. Sour food made her sneeze, but she kept trying. "This is pizza," Ho said one evening, showing her a plate from the cafeteria. "Humans love it." Vila took a careful bite. Her eyes went wide. "It is aggressive but good, very good." She ate the whole thing. In return, Vila taught Ho about culture. Their long lives, they could live for 500 years. Their emphasis on bonds and loyalty. Their belief that the soul recognizes its partner before the mind does. "Is that why you claimed me?" Ho asked. "Your soul recognized me." "Partly, but it was more than that." Vila looked at her hands. "When I woke up in the medical bay after the accident, they told me a human had saved me. I asked to meet him, but you were in deep healing. By the time I recovered, you had already transferred to another station. I did not know anyone was looking for me. I looked everywhere. I learned your language so I could find you. I studied human culture so I could understand you. And the more I learned," she smiled softly, "the more I fell in love with you, not the bond, you." Ho did not know what to say. Nobody had ever loved him like this. It was overwhelming and scary, and maybe, just maybe, a little bit wonderful. The days passed quickly. Ho found himself looking forward to seeing Vila, her laugh, her curiosity, the way she tilted her head when she was confused. She was strange and different, but she was also warm and real. He was starting to feel something. He was not ready to call it love, but it was definitely something. Then the accident happened. It was day 22 of the courtship. Ho was working in the central hub when alarms started screaming. "Malfunction in Sector 7, someone shouted. "Life support failure." Sector 7, the outer ring, dozens of workers were stationed there. Ho did not think, he just ran. The hallways were chaos, people rushing in every direction, emergency lights flashing red, smoke pouring from ventilation shafts. Ho pushed through the crowd, heading towards Sector 7 while everyone else ran away. Ho's voice crackled through his communicator. "Ho, I am trapped in Sector 7. The doors are locked." "I am coming," he shouted back. He reached the sector entrance. The doors were sealed. The control panel was sparking, dead. "Damn it!" Ho pulled off the panel cover and looked at the wires inside. Damaged but not destroyed. He could fix this. He just needed time. His fingers moved fast, reconnecting wires, rerouting power. Sweat dripped down his face. The air was getting thin. Behind him, station security arrived. They were setting up proper rescue equipment. It would take them 20 minutes to cut through the doors. Ho did not have 20 minutes. "Come on," he muttered, twisting wires together. "Come on, come on." The panel lit up. The doors groaned and slowly opened. Ho did not wait for security. He ran inside. Sector 7 was filled with smoke. He could barely see. He heard coughing, shouting, crying. He called. "Here, over here." He found her trapped under a fallen beam with two other workers, a small alien with green skin and a tall creature with 4 arms. They were all injured but alive. Ho grabbed the beam and pulled. It was heavy, too heavy. "Leave us," the green alien said. "Save yourself." "Shut up," Ho grunted. He braced his legs and pulled harder. The beam did not move. Then another pair of hands grabbed the beam beside his, pale blue hands. Ho looked up. Vila was there. Her fancy robes were torn. Her silver hair was covered in dust, but her eyes were determined. "Together," she said. They pulled together. The beam shifted, moved, lifted just enough for the workers to crawl free. Ho grabbed and threw her arm over his shoulder. Vila helped the other two. Together, they made their way toward the exit. A pipe burst above them. Hot steam shot out. Ho pushed Vila aside and took the blast on his back. He screamed but kept moving. They burst through the doors just as the rescue team arrived. Medical workers rushed forward to take the injured. Someone wrapped a blanket around Ho's shoulders. Ambassador was there. He had been watching the rescue through the security cameras. He stared at Ho with an expression Ho could not read. He ran toward the danger, said quietly, "Again." Beside him, Vila was breathing hard. Her hands were shaking, but she was smiling. "Humans are absolutely insane," muttered. "Yes," Vila said proudly. "Is it not wonderful?" Later in the medical bay, Vila sat beside Ho's bed. The burns on his back were healing. Human medicine was good, and station medical technology was better. "You could have died," Vila said. Her voice was shaky. "But I did not." "That is not the point." She took his hand. Her touch was cool and gentle. "You keep running into danger. You keep risking yourself for others. Do you not care about your own life?" Ho thought about it. "I care, but when someone needs help, I cannot just stand there. I have to do something. Even if it kills you." "Even then." Vila was quiet for a long moment. Then she leaned down and pressed her forehead against his. "This is why I love you," she whispered. "This is exactly why." Ho's heart was beating very fast. Her face was so close. Her eyes were so bright. "Vila, you do not have to say anything. I know you are not ready." She pulled back and smiled. "But I want you to know I am not going anywhere. No matter how many times you try to get yourself killed, I will be right there beside you." She squeezed his hand and stood up. "Rest now. You have 8 more days to decide." She walked out of the medical bay, her silver hair catching the light. Ho watched her go. 8 more days. He was starting to think he already knew his answer. Day 25 came with a problem Ho did not expect. A new ship docked at Station Harmony. It was sleek and elegant, covered in designs. The kind of ship that cost more than entire space stations. Ho was in the cafeteria with Vila when the ship's passenger walked in. He was tall and perfect, with hair like liquid silver and eyes that glowed like twin moons. His robes were covered in jewels. His expression was cold and proud. Vila went stiff beside Ho. "Who is that?" Ho asked. Vila said quietly, "My intended match." "Your what?" The male walked directly toward their table. Other people moved out of his way. He did not look at them. He only looked at Vila. "Vila," said, his voice was smooth like silk, "I have come to collect you." "I am not yours to collect," Vila replied coldly. Finally looked at Ho. His glowing eyes moved up and down, judging. His lip curled with disgust. "This is the human," said. "This is what you left me for." "I did not leave you. Our arrangement was made before I almost died. That changed everything." "Nothing changed. We were promised to each other by our families. It is tradition." "The life bond is also tradition, and it supersedes arranged matches." His perfect face twisted with anger. "You would choose this, primitive over me, over our people's ways." "I would choose him over anyone." Ho stood up. He was shorter than, less elegant, less impressive in every way, but he stepped forward anyway. "Listen," Ho said calmly, "I do not know what your history is with Vila, but she already told you her answer. Maybe you should respect that." Looked at Ho like he was an insect. "You dare speak to me, human? Do you know who I am?" "Someone who cannot take no for an answer." The cafeteria went very quiet. His hands clenched into fists. Then slowly he smiled. It was not a nice smile. "Very well," said. If you want to keep her human, then prove you deserve her. I invoke the right of claiming. Vila gasped, "No." "What is that?" Ho asked. "An ancient tradition," Vila explained, her voice worried. "When two claim the same person, they can challenge each other. A series of tests. The winner earns the right to court." "I do not need to prove anything," Ho said. "Vila already chose me." "She chose you out of obligation." Smile widened. "The right will show who truly deserves her, unless you are afraid." "I am not afraid. I just do not think Vila is a prize to be won." "Then decline the challenge. Walk away. Prove that you are exactly the coward I think you are." Ho felt anger rising in his chest. He pushed it down. This was not about his pride. He turned to Vila. "What do you want?" Vila looked at him with those bright eyes. For a moment she was quiet. Then she spoke softly. "I do not need you to fight for me, but," she hesitated, "I would like to see you try." Her voice was small, vulnerable. She was scared, Ho realized. Scared of losing him. Scared of forcing her into a life she did not want. Ho turned back too. "Fine," he said, "I accept." The right of claiming had 3 tests: intellectual, artistic, and physical. They would take place the next day in the station's central arena. That night found Ho in his quarters. "You are an idiot," she said. "Probably." "Is a noble. He has had hundreds of years of education, training. You have no chance in the intellectual test." "I know." "And the artistic test. Art is famous across the galaxy. What are you going to do, draw stick figures?" "I have a plan for that one." Raised an eyebrow. "And the physical test?" "That one," Ho smiled slightly, "that one I am not worried about." The next day the arena was packed. Humans, aliens, everyone wanted to see the competition. Ambassador sat in the front row, his face unreadable. Stood on one side of the arena, dressed in flowing robes that probably cost more than Ho's entire life savings. Ho stood on the other side in his work clothes. He had not bothered to change. The first test was intellectual. A elder asked them questions about history, science, mathematics, philosophy. Complex questions that required years of study. Answered every question perfectly. His voice was confident. His answers were elegant. Ho struggled. He got some answers right but many wrong. He was an engineer, not a scholar. When the first test ended, had won easily. "1 test down," said smugly, 2 to go. The second test was artistic. Each competitor had to create something beautiful, produced a light sculpture, a glowing image of a paradise that floated in the air and changed colors with music. It was stunning. The crowd applauded. Then it was Ho's turn. He reached into his bag and pulled out an old guitar. It was battered and worn, held together with tape and hope. "What is that primitive thing?" laughed. Ho did not answer. He sat down, positioned the guitar, and began to play. It was a simple song. A song his mother had taught him when he was a child. No special effects, no glowing lights, just fingers on strings and a voice that was rough and imperfect. He sang about loss, about love, about holding on when everything seemed hopeless. When he finished, the arena was silent. Then someone in the crowd started crying. Then another. Even some were wiping their eyes. Vila had tears streaming down her face. The judges deliberated. When they announced the result, it was a tie. Sculpture was technically superior, but Ho's song had moved them in ways they could not explain. "Human emotion," one judge said quietly. "Raw and unfiltered, there is nothing quite like it." His face was red with anger. "This is ridiculous. My art was clearly better." "Art is not just about technique," the elder judge replied. "It is about feeling, and the human song had more feeling than anything I have seen in centuries." 1 test each. The final test would decide everything. The physical challenge was a zero-gravity obstacle course. A brutal maze of platforms, tunnels, and traps. The first one to reach the end would win. Smiled were naturally graceful. They moved through zero gravity like dancers. "This will be easy," he said. The race began. Was fast. He flew through the course like water, his movements elegant and precise. Ho was slower, clumsier. He hit walls, he missed platforms, he fell behind quickly. But he did not stop. The course was long, longer than anyone expected. It was designed for who rarely faced physical hardship. After 10 minutes began to slow. His breathing grew heavy, his movements became sloppy. Ho kept going. Humans were not elegant, they were not graceful, but they were built for endurance. Millions of years of evolution on a harsh, brutal planet had made them persistent beyond reason. 15 minutes in was struggling. His body was giving up. Ho was tired, his muscles screamed, his lungs burned, but he pushed through it. "Come on," he muttered to himself, "keep moving." 20 minutes in, collapsed. He grabbed a platform and hung there, gasping for air, unable to continue. Ho passed him. "How," wheezed, "how are you still moving?" Ho did not answer. He did not have the breath for it, he just kept going. 25 minutes in, Ho reached the end. He crossed the finish line and collapsed on the platform. His body was broken. His vision was blurry, but he had finished. The crowd erupted in cheers. Vila was at his side in seconds, pulling him into her arms. "You did it. You actually did it." "Told you," Ho gasped, not worried about the physical one. The judges announced the final result. 1 test tied, 1 test to Ho, overall, a tie. The crowd murmured in confusion. What happened in a tie? Pulled himself up, his face twisted with rage. "Tradition says the noble-born wins in a tie. I demand she honor the original arrangement." Everyone looked at Vila. She stepped forward, facing directly. "Tradition brought you here," she said clearly. "But he earned the right to stand beside me. You had every advantage, birth, education, training. He had nothing but determination and heart, and he still matched you." "Vila, I choose him." Her voice rang through the arena. "Now and forever I choose Ho." Stared at her. For a moment his mask cracked. Pain flickered in his eyes. Then it was gone, replaced by cold fury. "This is not over," he said quietly. He turned and walked away. Ho watched him go, a bad feeling growing in his stomach. Something told him was not the type to accept defeat. 3 days after the rite, Ho's bad feeling proved correct. It started with small things, minor malfunctions in the human worker sections, air filters breaking, lights flickering, nothing dangerous, just annoying. Then it got worse. Ho was in his workshop when the alarms started screaming. Different alarms this time, emergency alarms, life or death alarms. "Life support failure in Wing 8, a voice shouted over the intercom. "All personnel evacuate immediately." Wing 8, that was where most human workers lived. Hundreds of people trapped. Ho grabbed his tools and ran. The hallways were chaos. People pushing, shoving, screaming. Emergency doors were slamming shut all around them, sealing off sections of the station. Ho reached Wing 8 just as the last door started closing. He dove through the gap, rolling onto the floor on the other side. The door sealed shut behind him. He was trapped inside. The air was already getting thin. The emergency lights cast everything in red. Ho could hear people calling for help from different rooms. "Everyone stay calm," he shouted. "I am an engineer, I will fix this." He ran to the nearest control panel. When he opened it, his heart sank. This was not a malfunction. This was sabotage. Someone had deliberately cut the life support lines, deliberately sealed the doors, deliberately targeted the human sections of the station. Only someone with high-level access could have done this. Ho's hands moved fast. He could fix this. He had to fix this. But it would take time, and time was running out. His communicator crackled. Ho, Vila's voice. Ho, where are you? Inside Wing 8, I am working on it. I am coming to help. No, it is too dangerous. The connection cut off. 5 minutes later, Vila appeared at his side. She had found another way in through the maintenance tunnels. Her robes were torn. Her face was pale, but her eyes were determined. I told you to stay out, Ho said. And I told you I am not going anywhere. Despite everything, Ho felt his heart warm. Fine, hold these wires together. They worked side by side. Vila was not an engineer, but she followed his instructions perfectly. She held tools. She connected cables. She kept him going when his arms got tired. Slowly, the life support systems came back online. Air started flowing again. But they still needed to open the sealed doors. And for that, they needed to reach the main control nexus. It is at the end of the wing, Ho said. Come on. They ran through the dark corridors, stepping over fallen panels and broken pipes. The damage was bad, worse than it should have been. Someone had planned this carefully. They reached the control nexus. The door was open and was waiting inside. He stood at the main console, his fingers on the controls. His elegant face was twisted with hate. You are too late, said. I have locked out all overrides. When the station council arrives, they will find the entire human wing dead. A tragic accident. Proof that humans are too fragile, too dangerous, too primitive for the galaxy. You are insane, Vila breathed. These are innocent people. Innocent? Laughed. They are humans, chaos creatures. They do not belong in our galaxy, and you, his eyes fixed on Vila, you do not belong with one of them. Let me guess, Ho said calmly. You think she belongs with you. She was promised to me before you came along, before you corrupted her with your primitive emotions. His voice cracked. I loved her, and she threw me away for a creature that cannot even live 100 years. Vila stepped forward. I never loved you. I never could have. Not because you are and he is human, but because you never once asked what I wanted. You only ever saw me as something to own. I would have given you everything. Except a choice. His face contorted with rage. He reached for the console, ready to finish what he started. Ho moved. He was not fast. He was not elegant, but he was determined. He tackled away from the console and they crashed to the floor together. Was stronger than he looked. He threw Ho off and scrambled to his feet. His hand went to his belt and pulled out a blade, a ceremonial knife, razor-sharp and glowing with energy. I will kill you, hissed, and then she will have no choice. He lunged at Ho. Ho dodged the first strike, and the second, but the third caught his arm, cutting deep. Blood splashed onto the floor. Ho, Vila screamed. Raised the blade for a killing blow. Ho grabbed a piece of broken pipe from the floor and swung it with everything he had. It connected with his hand, sending the blade flying. They faced each other, both injured, both breathing hard. You could have had her, Ho said quietly. You just had to be someone worth choosing. Something broke in his eyes. The rage faded, replaced by something else, something hollow and lost. She would never have chosen me, he whispered. Would she? No, Vila said from behind him. I would not have. Station security burst through the doors. They had finally cut through the seals. Guards surrounded, pulling his arms behind his back. He did not resist. He just stood there empty. As they led him away, he looked back at Ho one last time. There was no anger left, only defeat. Then he was gone. Ho slumped against the wall. His arm was bleeding badly. His body hurt everywhere, but they had done it. They had saved everyone. Vila was at his side in an instant, pressing cloth against his wound. You saved them, she said, again. We saved them, he corrected. She smiled through her tears and kissed him. 1 week later, Ambassador came to visit Ho in the medical bay. The older stood at the foot of Ho's bed, his expression unreadable. Then slowly he bowed. I was wrong about you, said. I thought humans were chaos. I thought you would bring destruction to my daughter's life. You were half right, Ho said. We are chaos. Yes, but perhaps chaos is what the galaxy needs, straightened. You have my blessing if you want it. I do. The door opened and Vila walked in. She saw her father and froze. Nodded to her, then left without another word. Vila hurried to Ho's side. What did he say? He gave us his blessing. Vila's eyes went wide. Then she laughed, a sound like silver bells. Then I have a question for you, she said. Ho, will you bond with me, properly this time? No claims, no obligations, just us. Ho looked at her. This strange, beautiful, wonderful woman who had spent 3 years searching for him, who had learned his language and his culture, who had stood beside him in fire and darkness. Yes, he said. The bonding ceremony was small, just close friends and family, stood as Ho's witness trying not to cry. They blended human and traditions. Vila wore silver and white. Ho wore a simple black suit. When it came time for vows, the officiant asked Ho to speak first. He looked at Vila, her glowing eyes, her gentle smile, his home. I did not save you because of duty, he said, or obligation. I saved you because I could not stand by, and I choose you now for the same reason, because I cannot imagine standing by while you walk through life alone. Vila's tears fell freely, but she was smiling. 3 years ago, she said, you gave me my life. Today I give you my heart, all of it, forever. They completed the bond. The weeks that followed were peaceful. Ho went back to fixing machines. Vila stayed at the station, working as a liaison between humans and they built a life together, small and quiet and good. One morning, a new human engineer arrived at Station Harmony, young and nervous, fresh from Earth. He was eating alone in the cafeteria when he saw something unusual. A human man walking hand in hand with a beautiful woman. They were laughing together, comfortable and happy. An alien beside the new engineer leaned over. That is the human who married a diplomat's daughter, the alien said. The young engineer's eyes went wide. How did that happen? Across the room, Ho overheard. He looked back at the new arrival and grinned. She asked nicely, he said. Vila laughed, the sound ringing through the cafeteria like bells. They walked away together into the station's light, fingers intertwined, heading home. Some stories begin with explosions and battles. Some begin with ancient prophecies or galactic wars. But the best stories, the ones that really matter, begin with something simpler. They begin with someone choosing to be brave, choosing to care, choosing to reach out and save a stranger even when it hurts. And sometimes, if you are very lucky, that choice leads you to exactly where you belong.